Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to sew this simple kimono jacket step by step. But instead of mixing the kimono with ashoke like the design picture, I'm going to be mixing with two different Ankara prints instead. And guys, this kimono jacket is a very simple, beginner friendly jacket, and honestly, you can finish both the cutting and sewing in 1 hour or less. No jokes, guys. Anyways, let's get into it. So guys, for today's ashoke kimono jacket, instead of using an ashoke for my own, I'm going to be mixing two prints. So I'm going to be mixing these two Ankara prints because I don't have an ashoke yet to use. Let's talk about some of the measurements you need. First, you're going to need the full length of your jacket. That is how long you want your jacket to be. So for me, I'm just going to stop at somewhere around my knee length. So I'm going to be using 40 inches length. Then the next measurement you need, with this measurement will be what will be determining the width of our kimono. That is how wide our kimono is. And the measurements you need, you're going to need your across back measurement or your back width, and for that I have across back. You can see the illustration right in the video. So my across back measurement is 16 inches. That is the across back measurement I'll be using, is 16 inches. Then you're also going to need your actual sleeve length. That is where you want the sleeve to get to from the bone of your shoulder. That is the your normal sleeve length, how you measure your normal sleeve length. So just measure that, and then you can just measure it to maybe your elbow or wherever you want it to be. So me, I'm just going to use sleeve length. That is let's do 15 inches. So yeah, this across back measurement, I'm going to divide it by 2 because this 16 is the full across back measurement. So 16 divided by 2, that is 8. So now the full width that we'll be measuring on our fabric, so 15 plus 8, that is 23 inches. So this is what will be the width of fabric that I'll be measuring. Now, since we are going to be mixing prints, I'm going to be using these two prints. Remember that this second print is going to be like at the edge of the kimono jacket. So I'm going to measure maybe about, let's do maybe 7 inches or 6, between 6 to 7. Let's do 7 inches. So I'm going to subtract that 7 inches from this 23 inches, and that's going to give me 16 inches. So this 7 inches I'll be cutting out from this fabric, and this 16 inches I'll be cutting out from this one. So you see what everything is going to look like when we are cutting. I just needed to explain all of the measurements needed first so that we can just move straight to cutting. So the measurements we'll be needing are kimono jacket length, which is 40 inches, the width of our fabric, we already subtracted. So the width of our fabric for this one will be 16, and for this one will be 7 inches. And now I'm going to be starting with this one first. So let's keep this Ankara aside. Now what I'm going to be doing with this fabric, let me just explain with paper just in case you don't see when I'm folding. So let's assume this is your fabric. I'm going to first fold my fabric this way. Then once you fold this way, you fold this way again, just so that I can cut everything all together at once. So this part here, these two I have here will represent the front, and these two that I have here will represent the back. So let me just fold that on my fabric so you can see what I'm talking about. So guys, this is my fabric folded as I mentioned. So one thing I also didn't talk about is, if you look at the design, you would see that we have also an ashoke at the hem of the kimono jacket. So this 7 inches I took out from my width. I'm also going to take it out from the length, the 40 inches here. So the length of my kimono jacket for this Ankara print will now be 33 inches. So I'll measure 33 inches from here down. So I already did that, so I'll just cut that out now. Now let's measure our width, 23 inches. 23 inches. I said 23 inches. 16 inches rather. We have to take off 7 inches. So measure 16 inches. So I'll measure from here 16, 16, 16. So this is it here. Now I'm going to cut the excess bits here. I'll cut it out. So this is the excess out. This will be useful for the collar flap later. So I'll just keep it aside. So this is it. So my two fronts and my two back. This is. So now let's cut our neckline. So at the top here, I'm going to measure 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way, and 3 inches this way. So I don't know if you can see that, but this is it, marked with my chalk. So I'm going to cut that out. We have done the back neckline. So for the front, we need to split this open because it's a jacket really. But before we split this open, I'm going to, from the center here, I'll just measure about 2 inches in. Then you can do 3 inches, because if you look at the design, you would see it's about like 3 inches. But for me, because this is not wide enough, this is all I have, and everything here is just about 2 point something, like 2.2 inches. So I'll just measure 2 inches in here. If I had more fabric, I would have measured 3 inches. So at the top here, I'll measure 7 inches down. So this is going to be my front neckline. So just measure 7 inches down from here. From there, you just measure the 2 inches in, and then I'll continue measuring the 2 inches in all the way till I get to the hem of my jacket. Just in case you can't see what I did, let me just show you on the paper. So all I did was measure 7 inches down from the tip of my neckline here. Let's say this is it. Then I measured 2 inches in from there. That is this. So I'm going to connect my neckline from here down to that 2 inches. So yeah, this is it. So you just begin to measure the 2 inches all the way down, and this is it. And then you cut out this way. So you just lift this up, lift this down. So, and that's it. So that's what I'm just going to do on my fabric now. So I'll just cut all the way from the hem till I get it. And this completes all we have to do on this Ankara. This is the flap for the collar. This is it. See, it's unfold 2 inches this way, and that's it. Now all I have to do now is to just cut on my second Ankara fabric. I'll cut on my second Ankara fabric. I'll cut the 7 inches that we have here for this side of our, that will be attaching to this side of our dress, of our kimono, and then I'll also be cutting the 7 inches here for the hem. So yeah, and now I have everything cut out. This is my 7 inches print for the side. This is from here to here. From here to here is 7 inches, but I cut it on folds just so that we have more structure. So if you leave it like one single fabric, it's just going to be flying up all about. So it's not going to be as structured as we want. So I doubled it. So yeah, this is the 7 inches for the side, and this is the one for the hem. Also, I doubled this one also for the hem. So this is it. We already talked about this one before. And then this is my pocket piece. So this is what I'll be using for my pocket. So just cut 10 by 10, 10 inches this way, 10 inches this way, and that is it. So when I'm attaching to my jacket, I'll fold 1 inch inside here, 1 inch also inside here, and also 1 inch below. So, and then I'll place on my kimono. Then you can just like fold this place by ½ inch just to fold it in, just to top stitch that part. So and this is where our opening will be. So I hope you got the drift. So I'm just going to, that is everything we need to cut for our kimono jackets. And of course I have 2 pocket pieces. I just didn't show you because I'm just illustrating this part. So this is my second pocket piece. So well, let's move straight to sewing everything together. To sew, the first thing I'm going to do is to open up my jacket this way, so I have my full kimono on the table. So I'll pick up the side prints. I'll pick that up and then I'll just place it right sides together like this, and then I'll just sew. I'll sew by 1/2 inch all the way till I come all the way back. So by the time I'm done, this would fall this way. So you got the drift. Then I'll do the same also for this other side. So when I'm done, I'm also going to attach this one also to my neckline. So it's just basic. It's just like you're joining things together. There's no real big sewing techniques, just like basic. So I'm also going to attach this right sides together like this all the way till I get to my neckline, and then I'll also go round all the way at my neckline and then till I get to the other side. So you got the drift of that one too. So I'm just going to do all of that now, and I'll just, when I'm done, we'll talk about the next thing to do. So guys, this is where we are at now. I've completed this and then also attached this, so you can see that now all that's left to do is for me to attach to sew the hem attachments. That is this one. I'll just sew to the hem, right sides together all the way, and then I also sew the back too and all of that. Then when I'm done, I'll sew my pockets. So to sew my pockets, you can place your pockets anywhere really, but for me, I'm just going to measure from the top here. I'll measure 17 inches or even 18 inches, whichever one you want. And this is it right here. I don't know if you can see it. This is the problem with marking things on fabric. So this is it. So right at that point, from here I'll mark 2 inches in or 2.5 inches in, and this is it. And then I'll just place my pocket at that point. So remember I mentioned earlier that I'm just going to I'll just fold this in like this just to finish the edge. At the side there, I'll fold in 1 inch. At the side there also, I'll fold in another 1 inch, and then below I'll also fold in 1 inch. So when I'm done doing that, I'll just place this right at the spot where I want to place my pockets, and then I'll just sew. So tiny. Also a tiny stitch here, down. Then I'll come here and sew a tiny stitch also here, and then sew a tiny stitch also here, and that completes the pocket. So you do the same also for the other side, and that will be all for that. So when you're done, you can just, like at this part here, you can just stitch just a bit here, just to give it a bit of closing. So maybe measure like 12 or 13 inches from the top, mark that. So from this spot here, you can just sew. So you can just sew maybe 3 or 4 inches down, just to close the edge. So you can either sew at the edge here if you want, or you can sew it right here. So this is what I'm talking about. So you can either sew at the edge here, like maybe just sew like 4 inches down here, or you sew it here instead. But me, I think I'll be sewing here as per the design of the design picture. So just sew like maybe 4 inches here down. If you want, you can also sew it all the way down if you want, or you can sew just like a small bit here, whichever one you want. And that will basically be all we have to do to complete this kimono jacket.